Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today.
Hello.
This is the second day of World Circular Economy Forum, and you have heard a lot of sessions. The circular bioeconomy today, as we speak, flips the script on how we use our natural resources. It's all about closing the loop. For the Global South, going circular isn't just an option, it's a mandate. They need to cut down on the waste. With challenges like poverty and environmental damage, it's a way to develop sustainably and make most of what they have got. It's all about managing our resources smartly and cutting down on the waste streams. By working with the nature's regenerative powers, we can create cool stuff while keeping our planet happy. Places like Brazil are turning the leftover crops into biofuels, while India is rocking decentralized waste management systems that make compost and biogas. And in the Southeast Asian countries like Indonesia, they are getting creative with sustainable forestry. In our session today, we'll dive into more examples on how Global South is going circular. We'll check out ideas that use renewable resources, recycle waste, and make money while saving the planet. Circular thinking is also a big part of climate resilience in the Global South. By cutting waste and being efficient with resources, they are making sure they can handle whatever comes their way. Ladies and gentlemen, both present in the room and those who have joined us online today, welcome to the bioeconomy session at the World Circular Economy Forum. Today we are diving into pivotal role of circular bioeconomy, particularly in the Global South. For our online audience, you can ask questions in the chat room and our team would be happy to respond. My name is Shalini Bhalla. I'm the Managing Director at International Council for Circular Economy from India, and I'm joined together by Katja of GIZ, and will moderate your session today. Katja,
Thank you very much, Shalini. Thank you. A very warm welcome from my side as well. And yeah, I think we have a very important topic today. Of course, it is also of great importance to GIZ, the whole topic of bioeconomy and using bio-based materials and biomass. And I think we have some experience in Germany, but we are also keen, of course, to get an exchange and to learn from the Global South. And I think some of you might know GIZ. We are working together with companies and research institutes from all over the world, and we support the Global South in transitioning towards a circular economy, and especially in the bioeconomy sector. So international cooperation and partnerships are vital for moving or for this transition, and a close exchange, of course, is also needed. So we are today taking a deep dive into various solutions that we have from all across the world. I think you brought some and we brought some, and so it's going to be a good exchange and sharing of experiences. Before we do that, I think we have a task for the audience as well, right?
That's right.
So, but we have an introduction, we have a presentation, a launch of a white paper, and then we have a panel discussion. But before that, now I think we have the questions,
yes.
Right?
So we want to hear from the audience, what do you think about circular bioeconomy? What do you think is the potential of circularity when it comes to the biomasses? To help us out, could you please grab your phone, open the WCEF app, and go to this session room. You will see 2 questions popping up on the screen, and you've got almost 3 minutes to answer the question. There you go.
I guess you have all uploaded or downloaded the app already?
Yes.
And we are keen to, okay.
So the question that appears is, what comes into your mind first when you think about circular bioeconomy, particularly in the Global South?
So we can see the first results here already. It's a close race between primary circular bioeconomy and both primarily, now both to equal parts.
Still awaited.
Can you decide, please? Otherwise, it makes it gets difficult for me. But I think it gives us a little bit of a picture. Yeah. Okay. Keeps changing. We give you some more seconds to decide. Okay. So I was asked yesterday by a colleague, so what's the difference between bioeconomy and nature-based solutions? And that's a tough one, of course. We can see it here. Because sometimes it's just the wording that is a little bit different. So I think nature-based solutions, that's the one that comes to our minds at first. Protein production and composting and fertilizer production is also
great. I think that also
thought.
shows that governments are looking at nature-based solution, and a lot of work is being done in that area.
Okay, so should we go to the next question?
Sure.
Yeah.
The next question, please. Which topics interest you the most at this year's WCEF? So we have the results. Both.
We are prepared for that, I guess, right?
Great. So we know that both.
Well, of course,
bioeconomy
we have
sees
some
anybody.
solutions for the circular bioeconomy
That's
here.
right.
Huh? So you're in the right session, I guess. Huh? Okay.
Thank you so much. That helps us to know how we need to shape up with the next discussions at the WCF 2025.
Yeah, and let's see whether you get some surprises during the session or whether you get confirmed in what you thought, what you expected. So should we sit down actually now?
Sure.
Or should we keep standing?
Maybe sit down.
Yeah, okay. So Shalini, as a managing director of the ICCE, which is, I have to read it out, I'm sorry, International Council for Circular Economy.
Yeah.
And we said, okay, all this wording on circular economy, I think we have 50 times circular economy in our scripts, and you might have heard it more often. So you have observed developments of the circular economy and bio-based approaches in India for the last years, even decades. You have observed them. And what was the most surprising development you saw in the development of the sector? How has it changed?
You want me to speak on behalf of India, or you want me to speak on behalf of the world?
Of India.
Of India. God. Okay. So when I work with the International Council for Circular Economy in India, and what we realize is that the approach that's taken in India by the government of India is more holistic when it comes to the waste management. A lot of focus has been given on the wet waste management, the biomasses, and the bio-waste. Indian government is very proactive. We generate a lot of waste. We are 1.4 billion people. And the kind of waste that we generate is humongous. It is 62 million tons of municipal solid waste that's generated per year in India, about which 50% is the organic waste. Now, in this country where the population is on increase, the waste is on increase, and the figures say that it's going to double by 2030. It is important that India looks at an integrated waste management approach, and that's what the government of India is looking at. Ministry of New and Renewable Energy has a focus on the biogas, and they launched a biogas program. This program has an objective to replace the fossil fuel in cooking by clean cooking oil. And so we are focusing not only on reducing the greenhouse gas emissions, but looking at improved sanitation, women empowerment, and creating rural empowerment through these programs. In the fuel sector, Government of India has set a target of 20% blended ethanol in the petrol by 2026. And so there is a whole roadmap that talks about it. So ethanol blending in India by 2025, and then the targets that the government of India has set. We are expected to replace almost 1,000 crore liters of fossil fuel by 2026 by just introducing E20 fuel. The establishment of the Global Biofuel Alliance is another very important step that the government of India took, and this was done at the G20 presidency in 2022 when India had that, and it aims to address the major challenges and realize the potential of biofuels once again. Beyond this, India is promoting material innovation largely. So biomaterials is a very important focus again. From coconut waste in the Kerala to the foliage waste in the northern states, everything is being used in one or the other way. The sari that I'm wearing today is made from banana fiber. So you can understand the kind of material innovation and the focus that government has. And there is a tremendous opportunity in this sector when we talk about especially India.
Okay, thank you very much for that. And what chances do you see for circular economy or circular bioeconomy in the future? I mean, you just touched upon the future and the large opportunity, but is there any specific field you see?
Oh yes, certainly, certainly. As we are looking at circularity, the waste sector and particularly the biomaterials is a very, very important component. Indian agricultural practices have always been inclined towards more natural, unless the fertilizers came in and they were replaced by that. So compost from the waste, the bio-waste is something that India is looking at. There is a huge target. The rich biodiversity that India has. Also, the northeastern countries that have huge biodiversity is one of the approach that the government is looking at prioritizing. We are ambitious on our renewable energy targets as well. So we are replacing, and India has a target of 450 gigawatts of renewable energy by 2030. That is putting us on a trajectory of decarbonization while we look at sustainable growth and the need of the population that is increasing and the aspirations of people from the developing countries. The most important thing is, as we grow, we need to understand that people have aspirations. They would like to live better lifestyle, and that's true for every single emerging economy that we are going to talk about and focus today. And while we focus on providing these people the basic necessities, it is important that we grow sustainably, and that's exactly what the government of India is looking at. So I would say there is a huge potential, there is a huge opportunity that lies in this sector that we all can contribute to.
Thank you for that.
Thank you, Katja.
Yeah, I think this.
Katja, when I talk about India, it brings me to the fact that GGGI is working a lot on the biomaterials and the bio-waste sector. Would you like to shed some light on what GGGI is doing under the Prevent Waste Alliance?
Just quickly, I was just about to say that's not only the case for India, it's also true for many other countries.
Yes.
From the global south and the global north. I think we all need to change our patterns. But yeah, thanks for the question. The Prevent Waste Alliance is a multi-stakeholder organization. The secretariat is by the GIZ, but it has 500 members from private sector, research institutes, and also public sector on behalf of the German government. And then we have working groups, and there's one specialized working group on organic waste or circular economy in organic sector. So Piotr, he will be on the panel later. He will be presenting. He's very active in our. You are very active in our working group in organics, and I'm looking forward to your contribution then. So this is a very important platform to exchange ideas, to develop new concepts together, and to bring together innovation and technology with peer learning, just exchanging and learning from each other. So this is why we think also the World Circular Economy Forum here is very valuable. Wonderful. And why we have more than 21 countries represented here from our partners. Yeah.
That's great. I'm sure a lot of people sitting in the audience are members of Prevent Waste Alliance and know about the matchmaking sessions that they do from time to time. Okay, thank you, Katja, for that.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
helpful.
So I think we are at the next stage, and we can move up again. We can get up again because we have a presenter, Anjali. Please welcome on stage. I think either we were talking about whether to jump on the stage or to take the steps, but you can do either way.
Come.
Okay. So welcome. You will be presenting your white paper. You are from the Sustainable Center for Study of Science, Technology and Policy, is that right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, more or less, okay. And you will be presenting your new study, your newly released white paper, and you're an economist by trade,
Yes.
like myself,
Yeah.
and you're a seasoned sustainability expert. I
Yes.
guess you have been working in the field also for the last
15 years.
15 years,
Yes.
okay, well, that's a lot. And you are leading the sustainability vertical, which is one unit.
Yes,
and,
so it's a vertical under the climate, environment, and sustainability sector. And so how CSTEP, the center, works is that we have different sectors, and then there are sector verticals working under each towards addressing some of the grand challenges in the field of climate and environment.
Okay, so that's not only organics, but it's also on telecommunication and
Absolutely.
e-waste and
Yes,
plastics.
textiles as well.
Textiles as well.
Yeah.
Okay. So welcome on stage, and we hide, or I hide,
Yeah.
and I hand it over
Thank
to
you. So, hi everyone. I think a lot has been talked about bioeconomy, and this is something that we have been stressing a lot in our debate on bioeconomy, basically about how to make it more circular. So when we talk about bioeconomy, am I audible? So, yes, great. So when we talk about bioeconomy, it is essentially biomaterials. Whatever is produced naturally, we have to regenerate it and make it circular. We cannot exploit it. And so my presentation is essentially coming out of a white paper that we did jointly with Shalini from ICC. And what I would be presenting in the next 5 to 7 minutes is of key findings of the white paper. And as I'm talking, this white paper is there in the chat box, and you can actually look at the digital version, go through it. So essentially when we say that, okay, we have to make circular, where should we draw the line? What should we be doing in the circular bioeconomy space? What we should be looking at is that we shouldn't get into, and essentially that is what the world is actually reaching to, and what we talk about Global South, more so, it is the red zone. We are essentially in that zone at the moment, and we should ensure that we don't overshoot the boundaries of that red zone. We have to remain in our regenerative circular space, which is essentially the sea green color that you look in the middle. This diagram has been adapted from Kate Raworth's donut diagram, and what we have tried to show here is that when we talk about circular bioeconomy, it is all about not overshooting the boundaries, and at the same time ensuring that we are able to ensure sustainable livelihoods, we are able to ensure social as well as economic welfare. Looking at this side of the diagram, so what is essentially being circular? Circular doesn't mean that it all lies at the stage of waste management or the end use. It has to be started from upstream as well as downstream. That is, from the primary production to the end use stage actually starts from being circular bioeconomy. And looking at some of the primary production products, so when we talk about Global South, farming, agriculture, that is a mainstay in a lot of Global South countries, including India. In India, nearly 60% of the population, our population, is dependent on agriculture for primary livelihoods, including informal as well as formal. So when we talk about forestry, we talk about biogas, biomass, Essentially, it lies between primary, secondary, and closing the loop processes. These are the three essential processes where circularity comes into the picture. And we have to ensure that when we move from the secondary production to the closing the loop processes, we are able to redesign and repurpose the products at this stage itself. And then comes the basically, essentially, moving to the final products, which means we talk about biofuels, biomass, and it is quite interesting to know that India has actually initiated a global biofuel alliance. So, which means that we are seriously looking at circularity in a serious sense when it comes to decarbonization. So I think a lot has been talked about previously, so I would not go into the details of this, but what we are looking at here is what is happening worldwide today. Africa is taking actually a lot of initiatives in the field of circular bioeconomy, and that is quite impressive. We have Piotr sitting here today, and he would be talking a bit about what Africa has been doing. But what we essentially see here in the global south countries, Africa is certainly one of the leading countries that has been doing. Taking some best practices from across the countries. Like if you see EU, for instance, EU has a kind of a bioeconomy strategy in place which looks at sustainability, merging the sustainability as well as the growth angles together. And even in EU, when we talk about Germany, they focus a lot upon research and development, for instance. They focus a lot upon innovation. At the same time, Norway is actually looking into, various targets for extraction, how we can make it more productive and regenerative. Essentially, the resource recovery mechanism is very strong in Norway, and they are actually looking at 4 major facilities. If you look at more in terms of construction, more in terms of, reproduction of biogas, biomass. So essentially, there, Norway plays a very important role. East Africa, per se, have been doing a lot in this space, and since times immemorial, they have been focusing on agriculture, they have been focusing on energy, and using some of these sectors, looking at how bioresources can be generated from them. But having said that, India is actually at a threshold where we are now working a lot, and Shalini did speak about the initiatives that India has been taking. Recently, Niti Aayog came up, Niti Aayog, which is the national center, national government body in India, looks into it is like a government of India's think tank. They actually came up with a bioeconomy paper which said that bioeconomy's potential has been rising, and it essentially expected to exceed nearly 200 million by 2030. So, which means we are at a level where we can actually regenerate, reproduce, and even make it more circular driven and inclusive for the population. Getting into, I will not get into the details of the opportunities that lie in the global south space. It is all there. But I would say one thing, that in the global south hemisphere, we look at agriculture as the mainstay. So when we talk about agro waste, when we talk about forestry, when we talk about crops like bamboo and hemp, they play a very important role. And how could they be utilized and repurposed is actually when we talk about circular bioeconomy. Okay, yeah. So essentially, so these are again some of the examples that I have put together, but when you see the paper, you will see that most of these have been talked in detail, a large amount of marine, and just 2 minutes, just last 2 minutes, okay? Yeah. Okay, so yeah, and okay, so the last part of our paper, which essentially talks about now the how, that is what essentially needs to be done to achieve a circular bioeconomy. We are looking at 4 building blocks. Essentially, policy is at the core. Okay, and of course, it cannot be done in silo. So we talk about partnerships and collaborations. We talk about how we can actually cover up the knowledge gap. in this sphere, and of course, technological innovation. This is the roadmap that we have showcased in our white paper, which essentially talks about from the evidence to essentially act and embed, and finally, what is needed to keep the momentum running, which is monitoring and reporting. That is most important when we talk about bioeconomy. We need to stress on our strengths. We need to see what could be done to make it better and how, depending upon the feedback that we get. This is the last slide, and I will leave it here for our panelists to actually take it forward. When we talk about bioeconomy, especially circular bioeconomy, from the short term to the long term, what are we actually looking at? What are the kind of things that are needed to bring the collaborations in place, whether it's from the government, whether it's from the industry, whether it's from the academia, whether it's from the civil society? How can we make it a more livable, sustainable ideology and get it implemented on the ground? That is all. Thank you.
Thank you so much for bringing up this paper. I hope this paper is able to stimulate a dialogue and bring about a transformational change the way we look at the bio-waste. With the World Business Council for Sustainable Development estimating the global economic opportunity of bio-based product for food, feed waste products and energy to the tune of $7.7 trillion by 2030. I hope we are able to tap the high potential of the circular bioeconomy. With this, we announce the release of this white paper, which can be accessed on the link which is now available in your chat room. Katja, would you like to take this forward? Session? Would be.
We will have
the moment you step on stage.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it really?
Not working.
I don't think so. Yes, it is on now.
Sure.
So now we have the panel panel discussion, and you are a part of the panel actually because you are facilitating it. And I'd like to welcome three speakers, maybe one after the other. We have Mellany Díaz de Guatemala, bienvenida, y Piotr Barczak. I don't speak Polish, I'm sorry. And Dukwoo John from South Korea. Please welcome on stage. Please come on the stage. So, Mellany, you are advisor ministerial at the ministerial office in the Ministry of Environment and Natural Resources in Guatemala. Is that right?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. And you have previously been executive director of the national sector of plastics. So you've got a lot of experience in this sector, also on solid waste management systems, but also on different or alternatives to plastic, like bio-based materials.
Yeah, you're right.
Welcome. So Piotr, I mentioned you before because you're the active part of the working group. Of the Prevent working group. You've got more than 10 years experience also in policy development for circular economy, right? And currently you are a member of the ACEN Foundation, which is the African Circular Economy Network Foundation. And you're also council member of the European Environmental Bureau.
Correct, yes.
Yeah. And I think you might say some words on your current work at ACEN once you're on the panel,
sure,
if you want to.
With pleasure.
And then we have Dukwoo John from Korea. As I said before, you were giving me a little bit of ease when you said I can also call you DJ, because I tried to figure out how to pronounce your name. I'm sorry for that. So DJ is a distinguished leader in the field of green economic development from South Korea and with a focus on circular economy. So as a sector lead in circular economy at the Global Green Growth Institute, you have spearheaded innovative programs on circular economy in the past years. And you are also very strong in public-private partnerships in transforming sectors and transformative waste-to-value projects as well. Yeah. For example, you're also working in EV battery recycling. Right. That's the hot topic for everyone now, I think, and also in biomass-based projects.
Right.
Yeah. And you have introduced yourself, so I hand over to you, and then see you later.
Thank you, Katja. Thank you for setting the stage. So a lot to hear when it comes to the biomass. We have people from biomaterials. We have experts who are dealing into recycling, and then we have someone using the technology which is completely based on the lava. So I'm sure we get into know the real insights from the different sectors and different regions of the world. Thank you so much for joining us on this stage today. And while we were discussing about what the government is looking at, I think it is important to know what action is happening on ground. So thank you for bringing in your expertise, and we would like to know what each one of you is doing in your own respective zones through your projects and the work that you bring on the table. So my first question, I would call you DJ once again, and I think that's pretty easy for me to pronounce, is you're working on biochar. What I understand of biochar with my limited knowledge is it's made by controlled burning of the organic material, am I right?
Right.
Okay. And that too, you use the agriculture and the forest waste to do that, or to work on biochar. How does the incorporation of this biochar into fertilizer production align to the principles of circular bioeconomy at large? And how does it help in improving the soil quality? When you say, I mean, biochar, when you're using it as an alternative to the chemical fertilizer, how does it help to improve the soil?
Yeah, it's a very good question. So actually, I just met the biochar a few years ago. So when I met the biochar a few years ago, actually char in Korean means a tea. So I thought, oh, it's maybe biomass-based tea. Oh, it'll be very delicious. And then when they provide like a sample, oh, it's not tea. What's that? And then it's like a chocolate-like things that I cannot drink at all. And then, no, it's a very, very variable things. It has a very high potential for the solving anything. It's like a magical. So no. So, and then when I figure out these the properties and the features, I recognize it's a high potential. So please let me explain the biochar itself first. So biochar is like the carbon-rich, the solid material that it is produced through the process of pyrolysis. And pyrolysis is like a very engineering term, but pyrolysis has the heating, the process, the converting the biomass to very stable form of the carbon. And the carbon, the form, can be the last in the soil more than 100 years at a very stable form. And then this biochar has a very unique properties. It has a highly porous. It has a good amount of minerals embedded inside this chocolate-like form. And so that when you disperse it in the soil, what happened there is it can change all, the soil structure very positive way. So that it can increase the porosity, so that it can provide more aerobic conditions. And then it can be a good place for the microbes to live on, so that it can enhance the microbial diversity and activities. And also it retains the nutrients, the water, very effective way. So that it can also reduce the use of the chemical fertilizer significantly, which contribute to the carbon footprint in the agriculture sector as well. So you can imagine that, okay, you can capture the CO2. Also, as I told you, it is like a very stable form of the carbon. So that once you apply in the soil, it's kind of some carbon storage unit in the soil. So when you grow biomass for your own purpose, and then when you have the byproducts, you can convert this when you grow the biomass, actually it captures the CO2 from the atmosphere, right? And then once you convert it to biochar and they use in the soil, actually this carbon, the CO2 is captured and then storages in the soil. And that is a very beneficial way to use this biochar in the agricultural sectors, enhancing it is agricultural productivities and also carbon footprint.
So you did mention about carbon capture using this. And I understand the carbon credit market largely in the emerging economies are voluntary at the moment. But how does this technology help in kind of monetizing the benefits of the biochar that you're using, the technology that you're using?
Yeah. So actually, it has a very good functions to capture the carbon. And then almost 2019, IPCC approved its performance to capture the carbon and then the saving in the soil very stably. So that based on that, the confirmation of the IPCC, voluntary carbon market become very emerging. And then many global companies believe the quality of the carbon credit generated from the biochar production is very good. So Microsoft and also JP Morgan, they buy the carbon credit generated from the biochar production with a very reasonable price. It's more than $100 per ton. So that you can imagine that, and it can offset actually the challenge of the biochar. So actually biochar is using pyrolysis, which requires a high temperature, so that the biochar production is very expensive. So usually the commercial the price of the biochar is almost $1,000 per ton. So it makes like a business model very hard for biochar production facility. But when you sell the carbon credit in the voluntary carbon market, it gives you very significant revenue stream to your business model, so that it can attract the farmers and investors to use this the biochar production facility and application in their field. And especially when you link this biochar production with biomass byproduct management issue, like rice straw, open burning issues in Vietnam, Philippines, India, and many places, which usually they harvest rice 3 times a year, which has a lot of the significant amounts of the byproducts of rice in there. If you use biochar production using this production, actually you can prevent open burnings of these byproducts, and then save also air pollution issues as well. So this is our approach in the Vietnam colonies and going. And then we also believe that the composition of the rice byproducts in India, Vietnam, Indonesia, Philippines are not such a difference. And also global market, the voluntary carbon market also available for all of the countries. So that we believe that our business model and also the best practice model in the Vietnam can be replicable in other countries.
In other countries as well. Thank you. That's wonderful. That also brings me to the fact that most of the time when we looked at India, cow dung was used as a natural manure. But at the same time, there are insects which the agricultural community thinks are pests. But then we are talking about a technology, the black soldier fly technology, which Piotr, you're working on. I'm scared you're using larvae for it and using insects. But how do they really contribute to making the soil more fertile, or how it contributes to the circular bioeconomy, the technology that you use?
All right, thank you for this question, Shalini. I will come to the soil question, but just first of all, I want to say, because Katja, you asked, at ACEN Foundation, we deal with many streams, and also at policy level and on the ground. Today, because you are interested in the bio-circular economy, and my favorite stream is bio-waste stream, indeed, and there is this very popular in recent years and with a very promising technology called BSF. I will use this abbreviation, black soldier fly. And indeed, I don't know how many of you actually know about this technology. Many of you. How many of you have seen or tasted or smelled?
Tasted.
Oh yeah, tasted.
Be careful, he can pull out a jar of larvae right in front of you. Oh my God.
So you will have an opportunity today afterwards to touch, smell, taste if you want. So this is dry black soldier fly. There are many beautiful elements of this. Yeah. But the one that is most demanded now is the protein production. Those larvae, when you feed them, when you have one ton of bio-waste, clean bio-waste, you will get about 200 kilograms of larvae, fresh larvae. It can be less or more depending on the type of food you give to them. And they grow very fast. Within 12 days, you can harvest them and you get proteins that you can feed directly to animals, pigs or fish or chicken. They love it. Or then you can also dry it, you can transport it, and so on. So this is the proteins production. But as every organism on this planet, they also generate a lot of poop. So this is frass. It's called frass. It's insects fertilizer, basically. You can also touch it, smell it. It's very nice. And this is the soil component. This is what we feed into the soils. This is the fertilizer, soil improver, very, very nutritious. And you can get from 1 ton of bio-waste, you will get 400 kilograms of this. This comes actually to you from Côte d'Ivoire. Thank you to the farm Bio Ani, if they watch us today, from Côte d'Ivoire, Ivory Coast. They sell this for 25 cents, 1 kilogram of this. No, 1 euro, sorry, 1 euro for 1 kilogram of larvas. And 25 cents for 1 kilogram of frass.
For the poo.
So you get economy also here. But this is not enough. Out of frass, you can, before using it in soil, you can also digest it anaerobically. So AD, anaerobic digestion. And then after getting the biomethane out of it, you can still use it on the ground, on the soil. So you see, this is what I say. It's really, using waste in the circular economy, in the biosphere. So perfect example, which is becoming more and more popular in Africa. And I also wanted to just highlight that all of this, our project that we do in Côte d'Ivoire, as you heard, in Uganda and Ethiopia, is thanks to the collaboration within Prevent Waste Alliance. Katja said about Prevent Waste Alliance being the knowledge sharing, but it's not only that. It is really also uniting experts together in the global north, in the global south, to propose, to build projects funded then by different entities. For example, this one is funded partly by GIZ, but also by CCAC, Climate and Clean Air Coalition. If they watch us, thank you, and we will move forward.
Another thing, Piotr, before we go and speak to Mellany about what's happening in the Caribbean, it's very important when you talk about these projects that these projects are also strengthening the local economies. The project that you are doing with Godiva, is this really impacting the local economy in a way? The socio-economic standards? And what benchmarks have you kind of aligned yourself when it comes to promoting them?
So this is an example of very localized economy, in fact. The biggest cost of this project, of this technology, is to transport waste. We want to avoid this cost. That's why it naturally placed the project in a localized, smaller units. We don't want to transport waste in longer distances. So what is possible is that farmers, when they generate their residues, it can be pig dung, chicken also dung, it can be many slaughterhouses, it can be breweries, so food processing, it can be hotels, restaurants, markets, and finally, it will nudge also communities, municipalities to separately collect bio-waste in order to produce those beautiful things. So it becomes very localized because you cannot make it centralized. You don't want to travel bio-waste, which is very heavy, for long distance.
So you're reducing the greenhouse emissions that are related to the transportation.
Yes, and of course.
And you are providing a decentralized waste mechanism to the local communities and strengthening, giving them employment as well. And
the outputs, which is for farmers directly used in animal production and in soil.
And which my audience is also interested in, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Piotr. Mellany, coming next to you. As an industry and a government advisor, your focus is on the biomaterials and promoting them.
Yeah.
What are the specific initiatives in Guatemala that are promoting the alternative materials?
Well, thank you for the invitation, and I want to begin telling that in Guatemala, we have a lot of laws about the biodiversity, about the conservation, natural conservation. So we have laws, but we don't have any that talk about circular economy. So Guatemala started in 2021 adopting regulation for management of solid waste. And that includes the circular economy terms. That's the first time in Guatemala that talk about circular economy. When in my former work in the plastic industry, always talk about circular economy, but we don't have a regulation. So what happened in this moment? We can do anything if we don't have regulations. So that's happening in this moment. And this facilitated and motivated companies in Guatemala to start a voluntary process and for changing conventional raw material in their products, in their production processes. So that's a bad kind of thing. Additionally, it forced research and development of new products through collaboration with university within the country. And the industry are often drivers or the resources of know-how. So that's a big thing. So the university, the government, the municipality, the industry have the same language about the circular economy. It's a big stuff. So at the Ministry of Environment and Natural Resources, we are just starting to develop a strategy for changing those conventional raw materials. And we promote the use of raw material that generate lower environmental impact. So that's good thing. That's a good news for Guatemala. And our minister is new, so we have all the potential, all potential to do those changes. So as a first step, we need to set targets for using lower impact material, and also to establish standard for their production and use encourage factor for the industry, and are particular three things. The first, demand for sustainable material to improve their availability and competitive prices. That's the first, and that's require consumers and businesses to prioritize lower impact material and products while purchasing, and at the same time to promote the benefits of sustainable material to a broader audience. So that's the first. And the second, efficiency of production and supply chain management. So this combined with low energy use. The third, developing and implementing new technologies can also help to reduce the cost of a sustainable material. So these three things are the best that we are promoting. And the governments play a crucial role since they could change customer behavior toward a more sustainable purchase through the implementation of rules and laws. Our new government that just started this year, it's like 3 months ago, is highly committed to providing incentives for their adoption. In this addition, we also want to foster more collaboration with industry, NGOs, and other stakeholders can also help to drive this change toward a more sustainable material. So that's a big news, that's a good news for Guatemala, and then we are in here forum, so that's a good thing.
Sure, that shows the initiation. Considering also your involvement with the solid waste management that you were working and the projects like Circular, how are these initiatives helping at both regional as well as the state level in Guatemala?
Well, it's a good question, because we have all the potential, because we have in the middle of the Central America, I have 2 oceans, and all the projects are mentioned with the cooperative, with the Atlantic Ocean, so I want to talk about that. And something we have always discussed as a country is that we all have the responsibility of waste management, but on diverse occasions we have here that consumers solely blame to the municipality and government in general. However, it's important to mention that private sector and all the consumers play an important role in promoting more circular practice. That's the point. When I work in a municipality, we always listen. You have all the problem to management the waste in this municipality, and we always say, yeah, we have the responsibility, but you, like a consumer, you too have this responsibility. The industry have responsibility, the government have responsibility. So it's like we always have the responsibility. It's the same responsibility, but we need to have responsibility of anybody in this moment. So firstly, it's imperative that consumers sort their waste adequately, and on the other hand, producers provide packages that are fully recycling, and that if not it's recycling, most facility to means for it to happen. So also the role of government is to create policies and regulations that hold everyone in the value chain, and municipality responsible to waste management, and the is crucial. So we, like a government, we have the responsibility, the municipality have the responsibility, and we want to translate or to have this transition to the industry and the consumers that they really know they have responsibility, but always say, no, it's not my fault. I pay for the, you please take my trash and do whatever you want, but in this moment, we really need to have this conversation with the whole population in Guatemala. So in light of above, we have created any interesting synergy with the regional initiative, such as Caribbean Circular or Caribbean Circular, in which, for example, we have cooperated for Coalition of the Motagua River. This is the project that aims to coordinate joint activities with the private sector and civil society to run cleanup. We have different campaigns of the highly polluted river, and more important, is the big stuff, is to prevent the waste entering in the river. So another example is the implementation of a pilot project that we have in Puerto Barrios. It's like Atlantic Ocean, which includes some activities focused on establishing a mobile learning laboratory for product design. And with the academic sector, we have a big conversation, we have a big alliance, so that's kind of big stuff. Initiative to prevent generation of plastic waste, replacing conventional plastic with biodegradable alternatives and other type of package. And the Regional Committee of Central America, CCID-CICA, works in 8-country development solution that impose the circular economy. So among other activities, this collaboration includes the development of research focus of the potential biobase. These solutions to replace conventional plastic in different sectors with Dominican Republic. So it's other country, but it's the same benefits to the environment. And managing solid waste at municipal level with a committee that was formed by more than 20 institutions are located in Caribbean, has a strong technical capacity of all involved actors, and I have a good example. We have promoted the bioeconomy through composting and reducing single-use plastic bottle using a national biotechnology, and this name of this project is Ecofiltro. Ecofiltro in Guatemala, it's a product that invention, it's a big invention for me, because in all the communities, you have water. If you take out the river and you put in the Ecofiltro, you have a good quality of water. You can take this water and you don't have any problem with your health. So this water with natural materials such as clay, sawdust, and colloidal silver. So we have all the invention. We are promoting with the corporation, German corporation. So we are glad to this corporation.
Well, that's wonderful. That's really nice to see what the policymakers are doing to make a change and how to kind of preserve our natural biodiversity. Thank you so much, Mellany. Well, that was wonderful. We learned something about the biochar and how it's contributing to the carbon credit market and how it could be really economical. We also learned how it helps in mitigating the climate change. We learned about the new technology thanks to Piotr that supports the local economies and the role of policymakers in adoption of sustainability at large. Thank you so much for joining us today here and sharing your experiences. Thank you so much. It's time for the audience section again. And here's Katja.
It is again time, just before we are running out of time, actually, so we need to hurry up. So I think that it has been very obvious now that bioeconomy is not a possible future, but it is a necessary future, or that all your options are very good or solutions. And I think the scaling of those solutions is now our task, and really to see them happen everywhere. So we need your help, as you said, and I think, do we get the questions here? We have 3 minutes for 2 questions, I think. Are you aware of viable circular bioeconomy business models in your country that go beyond composting? And the second question is, what is your current perception of the role of circular bioeconomy in the international context? So it's a little bit tricky, those questions. So circular bioeconomy is considered as important or equally important as reducing packaging waste and resource extraction. That would be answer 1. And answer 2 would be circular bioeconomy receives little consideration. And the third one would be is not considered at all. So I hope to not see too many A3 answers here, but let's see. So I think we answer the first question. Can we go back to the first question so that people know? Do you have all your apps? Yeah? Okay. So yes or no? Please, go ahead. On the app?
Can we have the answers then?
Maybe people do not know where in the app. I got that question right? Ah, we were getting the answers already. So, well, it was just a teaser question, no? So people are aware of their... Open the app, go to the live stream. Okay.
You need to
Please come again. The second question, okay.
Okay, how's that?
So this is the answer to the first question. We got some answers here, so the majority of you is aware. That's good. And now you should be aware after the presentation and after the panel anyhow. So thanks for that. Then we might change to the second question. Is that
They are on the second.
technically possible? Yeah. What is the current perception? So very good or so la la? And the third one is it's not considered at all.
So little consideration, right? Receives little consideration in the current international discussions. Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you for that. So we come to the end now, and I think it's
We are
time-
just in time.
Yeah, we're just in time. So I think you all saw that there is a need for further collaboration, for taking innovative and technology into our work and combine it to or adapt it to local conditions, and that we should all be really positive about or see that there are many possibilities and that we can
And keep
design the
building the
future.
momentum, keep talking about it and see what are the solutions available in the different countries and replicate them, adapt them in our own economies. I think that's the solution. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we look forward to meeting you the next year. Thank you.
Thank you.